I danced with my best friend's mom at his wedding. What happened next changed everything. I still remember the exact moment my life split into before and after. The moment I took my best friend's mother's hand on the dance floor, thinking it was just a polite gesture, and felt something shift that I couldn't explain, couldn't ignore, and definitely couldn't undo. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life changes us, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness, because stories like this remind us how powerful a single moment can be. The wedding was supposed to be simple, joyful, predictable. My best friend Daniel was finally getting married after years of struggle, heartbreak, and rebuilding himself from nothing. I had been there through all of it, the late-night calls, the failed relationships, the silent tears he never let anyone else see. So when he asked me to stand beside him on the most important day of his life, I didn't hesitate. I felt honored. The venue was glowing that evening, warm lights strung across the open garden, laughter echoing under the soft music, and a sense of peace that only comes when someone finally finds their place in life. I was busy helping guests, greeting relatives, making sure everything went smoothly. And then I saw her, Daniel's mother. I had known her for years, of course. She was always kind, always composed, the kind of woman who carried quiet strength in her eyes. But that night, something was different. Maybe it was the way the soft golden lights touched her face, or how she smiled with both pride and a hint of sadness as she watched her son begin a new chapter. She wasn't just my best friend's mom anymore. She looked like a woman who had lived through storms and still stood gracefully. I didn't think much of it at first. But later, when the music slowed and couples began filling the dance floor, I noticed her sitting alone at the edge, her hands gently folded in her lap, watching everyone else celebrate. There was something in her expression, something lonely, something quietly breaking beneath the surface. I don't know what pushed me, but I walked over. I offered my hand, and she accepted. The moment we stepped onto the dance floor, everything else seemed to fade. The noise, the laughter, the music, it all softened into the background. It wasn't romantic in the way people might assume. It was something deeper, something human. She held onto me like someone who hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. As we moved slowly, I noticed the slight tremble in her fingers, the way her smile flickered as if it was holding back years of unspoken pain. And then I understood, this wasn't just a dance. This was release. She had spent years raising Daniel alone after losing her husband, sacrificing her own happiness to give him a better life. She had buried her own dreams so quietly that no one ever noticed they were gone. And now, standing at her son's wedding, she was both proud and painfully aware that her role in his life had changed forever. That realization hit me harder than I expected. I felt it in my chest, in my silence. In the way I held her a little tighter, not out of romance, but out of respect, compassion, and something I didn't yet understand. After the dance ended, she thanked me with a soft smile that carried more emotion than words ever could. And for a moment I thought that was it. Just a kind gesture, a meaningful moment. But life doesn't work that way. Over the next few weeks, I found myself thinking about her more often than I should have. Not in a reckless way, but in a way that made me question things. I started noticing how lonely she must have been, how much of her life had been about others, and how little anyone had ever truly seen her. I began visiting Daniel more often, and naturally I saw her too. Our conversations started small, casual, respectful, but slowly they grew deeper. We talked about life, about loss, about the things people don't usually say out loud. And somewhere along the way, a connection formed. But with that connection came guilt. Daniel was my best friend. And this, whatever this was, felt complicated, risky, even wrong. I tried to ignore it. I kept my distance. I told myself it was just empathy, just concern. But every time I saw her, I felt that same quiet pull, the same feeling from the dance floor. She wasn't just someone's mother. She was a person who deserved happiness too. The real struggle wasn't what others would think. It was what I thought of myself. I questioned my intentions, my values, my loyalty. I spent nights lying awake, wondering if I was crossing a line that should never be crossed. And then one evening, everything changed again. Daniel and I were sitting together, talking about life after the wedding. Out of nowhere, he mentioned his mother. He said something that caught me completely off guard, that he worried about her being alone, that he wished she would find someone who truly cared for her, someone who could make her feel alive again. In that moment, something inside me shifted. It wasn't permission, but it was understanding. I realized that love doesn't always follow the rules we expect it to. It doesn't ask for perfect timing or simple situations. Sometimes it shows up in the most unexpected places between the most unlikely people. What mattered wasn't how it looked. What mattered was whether it was real. Months later, after countless conversations, honest reflection, and facing our fears, we chose to stop running from what we felt. We chose honesty, respect, and patience above all else. It wasn't easy. There were questions, doubts, and moments where everything felt like it might fall apart. But we faced them together. And over time, something beautiful grew, not out of impulse, but out of understanding, trust, and genuine care. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something important. Please drop a comment and tell me, do you believe love should follow rules, or should it follow the heart?